Hi, this is Larry Gilman from Taipei, and I'd like to talk to you today about accountability. Now, accountability has to do with consciousness, conscious of your word, conscious of what you've actually said, and then doing what you actually say. Now, this has been, I think, severely not only underrated, but I think it's been severely not kept. And what happens is you say something, people mostly may not believe you because in the past you haven't kept your word. So, consciousness, as far as do you know what you're saying? Do you actually know what you're agreeing to? Do you actually know that if you say to somebody that I will meet you at 7:30, that 7:30 is 7:30, and that what you've said is actually making a contract. You've made a contract with somebody else. I give you my word, I'll be here at a certain time, boom, that's it. And then when you don't keep your word, and even before that, that's what I want to talk to you about, is consciousness on what it takes to keep your word. That if you're in a city, there's always traffic. If there's weather, there's always weather that affects the traffic. If there's trains, if there's buses, there's always something. Are you actually arranging your life to keep your word? Or is your word just blown off as if it doesn't matter? And then you wonder how come sometimes people go, it doesn't matter. And then we get into this conspiracy of not holding ourselves to our word, or holding others to our word. So I think this is something that we can actually start setting the world straight. If what we say and what we do is the same thing, then we become accountable, which is we can count on ourselves to keep our word, and then other people count on us to keep our word. That way, not only do they trust us, but our credibility goes up. And if you've kept your word 100 times and then you miss one, people have a lot of room for you. But if you don't keep your word, if the first time you've already started that pile of, you're just like everybody else. Whatever you say, you have lots of reasons, lots of considerations, lots of things why you couldn't, but you didn't do the thing that you could keep your word. Now, in the olden days in the United States, if you gave your word and you shook someone's hand and it was witnessed by one person, that could be taken to a court of law. Because in the olden days, who you were was your word. You were known keeping your word or not keeping your word. And I know a lot of you may be thinking, oh, it's not such a big thing. I mean, so what if I'm late? And you're right. Nobody dies. But it's a habit. And it's a habit that when you start with one thing, it starts with something else. And it just keeps on going. And then people don't call you on it. You see, and I think it's very friendly because we made a contract. Look, I arranged my life so I could meet you here at the time that we agreed. Or I agreed to pay you the money back at a certain time. And I think it's very friendly of someone to remind you, this is what you said. And look at all the things that if it's you come up with to entertain yourself with for not keeping your word. And if it's a person that it's being done to, look at all the stuff that you accept for them not keeping your word. And now every now and then there is an emergency. I get it. That's what happens. But then you have to make a new contract. And then do you actually trust the person to keep their word? See, banks are cool. They say you make a contract, you have to live up to it, or there are consequences. And as people, we don't necessarily say, hey, you know what? First, I don't trust you anymore. You keep telling me one thing and you do something else. That's number one. So you need to know, I don't trust you, not your word. And the second thing is, what are the consequences? Do you keep stringing that person along? Do you keep including them? Do you keep saying, oh, it's okay, it's just, and you keep making excuses, so now you've entered the conspiracy of whatever we say, we're not going to keep our word. Now try it. I want you to try it for a week. I want you to first hear everything you said, every agreement you make about being on time, paying something late, showing up, delivering something, anything like that. And see how many times in a week do you actually keep your word. If you're doing it all the time, great. But if you're not, take a look at what stopped you. Because you know what? You always know the difference. You always do. And it doesn't honor your system, and it doesn't honor your integrity, and that's why people have trouble having you be credible or trusting you. And that's just one thing. Conscious. What am I saying? And am I following through on what I'm saying? Accountability. Can I count on myself to keep my word? And therefore, am I willing to count on others to keep their word and be friendly and keep them up to their word? I look forward to seeing you the next time. Talks to you soon. Bye-bye.